welcome back to Classic and Retro, and welcome to another new project, although it's a quite familiar one, my Rover SD1. Now, if you've been watching some of the previous videos, and if you haven't, please check them out, including the daily driver diaries, you'll know I've been using this car quite a lot, and it has been plagued with problems. I've got big plans for this car, and I've had big plans for this car. I've been buying parts in the background, getting things together for it, and I've decided now's the time. We're just going to crack on with it and get this car how I want it, get it done once and for all. So the car's no longer going to be the daily. As of now, it is one of the projects, and we're going to be doing videos on it, same as the other cars. Now, this is going to be quite a long series. We've got a lot to do on this car. We've got a big brake upgrade for the front. We've got a rear disc conversion. We've got an entire new engine that's going to go in the car. A lot of stuff. Today's job is going to be to start taking the 2600 engine out so we can mock up the new engine. So if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing, and without further ado, let's just get it done. Let's crack on. So here we are, completely standard 2.6 litre straight six engine. Pretty much everything you can see in this engine bay is going to get removed. We've got various issues with various things. The clutch master, the brake master cylinder is leaking. The compensator valve's leaking. The wiring is past its best. Quite a few things need working on and sorting out. So we're going to take quite a few more bits off than actually need taking off, just to make it a little bit easier to redo the engine bay and fit the new engine. Throttle linkage next, quite easy. Slacken off the top like lock nut, and you can get a lot of slack on it, and it just rotates round. That bit goes into the throttle linkage. That's your throttle cable off. That easy. Brake vacuum. This goes to the servo. Probably got a bit of vacuum in there because it's been running. If you can hear that. And before we go any further, and what I should have done is disconnecting your battery. So before you do any of this, you should really disconnect your battery. So we've been a bit naughty. Well, we've already took a few little bits off, haven't we? So get the battery disconnected now. Put that out of the way. There we go, that's the battery disconnected, so we know we're alright now. Next, I think we'll get the start taking the inlet manifold off. So the inlet manifold's just held on by a series of 13mm bolts. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 by the looks of it, so shouldn't be too difficult. Some of them look like they're going to be a whole heap of fun to get to. That doesn't help either, does it? Luckily it was the bolt and not my finger though, so you know. You can see what we're working on here. So it's just all these 13s all the way across. There'll be a couple of coolant hoses, and then the majority of all the carburetors and everything can just be removed in one go. Right, that's all the 13mm taken out of the inlet manifold to head. I've also taken off the wiring that goes to the auto choke, which is just 2 spade connectors onto the front carb. I have disconnected a bit of wiring underneath the inlet manifold, nothing really serious. I've also taken off the coolant hose that comes out of the back of the inlet manifold and goes to the heater. And I've also taken off this one, or at least slackened it, it's a bit stuck. There we go. Which should free that off. So in theory there's nothing holding, get the dipstick out of the way. There's nothing holding the inlet manifold and carburetors on now. It looks like it's got quite a good seal to the head, but it should come off as one pretty big unit, to be honest. So let's give it a wiggle. Ah, there we go. Now there's definitely something still holding it. What's holding it? Nothing than what I can see. I think it's just wedged. There we go. As I was saying, although you can take the 6-cylinder out with the carburetor still on, look how much more room that gives you. Next, on this side, I'm going to take the battery out and a few other bits and bobs. We can also start to think about getting to the brake compensator, which has been leaking for a while, so we can get that done. All this is all damaged. The bulkhead sound pads are really difficult to get, but this one's so damaged, I'm not really sure what to do with it. It doesn't look very tidy, does it? But I don't think I'll find another, so we'll have to figure out what to do with that. Top hose, easiest thing in the world. Anyone who's ever done anything on any car will be able to do a top hose. Let's not pretend it's something it's not. It's 2 Jubilee clips. Bottom hose, fairly easy. You either undo it from there or there. And then it's got like this big metal pipe that runs underneath. We're going to do it from just there, if we can. There we go. So that's the top and bottom hose off, and I've also taken the metal pipe off that runs across the bottom. Next is the radiator. Now you can disconnect these, but if you just disconnect the 2 13s on the front, the radiator will lift out, so that's what we'll do. Right, we switched to the phone because the GoPro's dead. So that's the radiator out. I've also taken the battery and the battery clamp out and taken the expansion tank off. 2 screws to hold the expansion tank, 2 butterfly clips onto metal rods that hold the battery in. Easy stuff, really. So this side is, yeah, it's pretty much there. We've got a couple of bolts onto the engine mounts, look like 17s-ish, and that's done. I'm going to take the alternator off because I want to see if it'll fit onto the new engine with some mounts and such like. I'm going to leave the power steering lines on for now because I don't want to spill power steering fluid everywhere. So that's this side pretty much done. All the wiring's out, as you can see. It's quite empty. I mean, this is less than an hour's worth of work, so looking pretty good. Moving on to this side, we've got to take, well, I'm going to take all the airbox out, heater hoses off, and then we'll get the exhaust manifold off. But for now, alternator. It's 130mm through the top, one at the back, and one hiding down at the front there. I've already taken the belt off, as you can see, so let's just get that done. That's the alternator off, and I've also took the 2 17mm off the engine mounts. So I've got an earth lead, which is a little 13 onto the chassis leg there on this side, and obviously the clutch pipe to disconnect, which apparently never ran through its little tag there. And then this side's completely done. I mean, just ready to lift. So let's move on to the other side, clear some of that. Fair bit to do on this side. Obviously, exhaust manifold. Are they 17s? They are. So 12 17mm bolts into the head will get the exhaust off. I'll probably disconnect it from the head. I'm going to have to disconnect it from downpipe too, aren't I? Right, okay. So I'll have to jack it up and do that another day. But for now, we'll get it disconnected from the head. We're going to get all this airbox out because it's in the way. And we might get this out because it's not going to live there anymore. Right, let's do it. There we go. That's all off, and same as before. I mean, just look at the access now. That's the one good thing about the 6 cylinders. There's not much down the sides, so once you've cleared all the rammel out of the way, you've got quite a lot of room to work. So I'm going to try and get the 3 bolts out of the exhaust, 1, 2 and 3 from the downpipe. I'll obviously take the 17s off, and then hopefully we'll get the exhaust manifold off tonight. Then it's just heater hoses. And everything from above is pretty much done then, apart from the power steering lines. We need to take the bonnet off. I'm going to be getting rid of the bonnet stay. It just unbolts. You can buy a hydraulic ram conversion that goes onto there, I believe. and down to those bolt holes there. Tidies it up no end. I'm going to tidy this wiring up. I hate that. Everything from here back is going to get painted. The engine bay, that is. I'll do behind the headlights and everything, or the paint shop will do that when they go, but I'm going to do the engine bay. Mainly because it's going to be full of stuff and you'll not really see too much of it. I'll probably stone chip it from that seam down, and then paint over the stone chip at least, but at least it's got like a protective coat on, and then just body colour all this. I'm going to get rid of anything I don't need, drill the spot welds out of things like this, weld up random holes, you know, just tidy it up, make it look good. So yeah, downpipe and exhaust manifold then. A bunch of 17s, let's do it. I think that's where we'll leave it for today. Remarkably, all three of those came out quite easily. I've taken the front to back water pipe that runs under the manifold off and goes back around the back of the head. Heater hoses are off. Engine mount on this side is disconnected. So aside from I need to disconnect the downpipe and the earth on the other side I still haven't done, and the power steering lines, the engine's pretty much ready to pull. Now I've just been looking. I think I'm going to leave the gearbox in. It's a lot less work. It means I don't have to scrum about underneath the car. It's just a little bit fiddly getting the bell housing bolts out, but if I don't have to strip all interior trim out and I don't have to take all the gearbox mount off and prop shaft off and everything else, you know, it's going to make it quite a lot easier, isn't it? Yeah, decisions. I've always usually done it with the gearbox, but I don't know. So yeah, that's this side pretty much cleaned up. Obviously we've got some wiring to tidy up on this side as well. Headlight wiring, bonnet light, which to be honest we'll probably get rid of to tidy that up. The hoses that go to the windscreen washers, bit of rust, only a bit of surface rust to sort out there. We'll do a bit more tomorrow and hopefully get the engine out. Right, better tidy up. Well, I think that's probably enough excitement for one video, so I think we'll leave it there this time. As you can see, that's a lot of progress. The 2600 engine is out and gone, all the 2600 ancillaries are gone. We've actually replaced the bell housing. I didn't film that, but that's a different bell housing. We've got a little bit of work to do behind the scenes now on the engine, and taking a few more bits out of the engine bay, getting rid of the power steering pump, getting rid of a bit more wiring, taking the 2600 exhaust off. It's not needed. So yeah, we'll leave it there for this one. We've kind of run out of time. If you've liked this video and want to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel. It does help the channel out, and check out some of the previous videos on how we got here with this one. Went from a driving car last week to what you see now, and some of the other projects we've got going on. We've got some big videos coming out soon. And yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.